I'm often asked about my studio layout, especially as I keep changing it. So I'm going to give you a quick studio tour, but unlike a lot of other videos, I am going to showcase that actually this is just a normal room. It's about 4 meters by 3 meters, which is probably bigger than some average rooms, but it's just a normal room. And it isn't just for my office, it's somewhere for the cats to run around, where I like to do some of my weight training. And it's also a walkthrough over to a cattery area, which is through some French doors where I can also go and take some time out sometimes. So it's a room and there is some junk in here as well. But I want to kind of focus on what do I have on my desk, the layout, what's in front of the desk, and what's behind as well. Let's start off with this electrical standing desk. I got this from Amazon 6 days ago. It's 2 meters by 80 centimeters in depth. It's a beast of a desk. What I love about it is it is an electrical standing desk and it is so cool. I mean, of course, you can adjust the height, make it taller, make it smaller, but with a click of a button, it can go from a standing desk to a sitting desk. Or should I say from a sitting desk to a standing desk? Why do I bother with that? Because every day I do about 4 hours of cardio exercise. We're on my stepper. I like to step up and down while I'm working on one of my other screens. And it just means I can mix up between sitting and standing and getting some exercise in. Believe me, for those of you that work from home or you're working on web design or anything like that, or any other profession where you spend a lot of time sat at your desk, you may be guilty of sitting, eating, drinking, sitting. Not a lot of movement. So that having that facility where I can stand and step while working is brilliant. Now, beyond the desk is where I have a bit of junk. It's kind of like a collection of lights, lamps, tripods, things I might use if I'm recording in other parts of the house. Now, behind the desk, you will also see my cables, which don't look very tidy, do they? Looks quite messy. But don't be fooled by that because nothing is tangled up. Everything is independently placed. And I'm not a massive fan of like cable tidy tubes or cable plasticky gimmicky things because if I want to replace any of my equipment and plug in, plug out, change things around, I can do it really quickly. I don't have to spend 5 minutes untangling it out of a cable tidy. But that's entirely up to you. Some of you may want to prefer that and go down a cable tidy route. I just like to keep things loose and friendly. Now on this side over here, which I think a lot of you will be familiar with, I do have some cabinets down here. And inside of there, you will find a lot of other cables and boxes for my equipment and things that I want to keep close by in case I need to jump in and find something like maybe it's another lens for my camera. Now, the desk itself, I like to keep very clutter free. I don't like to have lots of paper or food or drinks or pens or paper clips or anything littering the desk. I like to keep it very open and fresh and clean. Why? Because in the morning and in the evening and late at night, when I come to my desk, I want to feel relaxed. If I have a cluttered desk, it stresses me out. Not that there's anything wrong with that. Because if you are happy with the odd bit of a breadcrumb or a cookie on your desk, then roll with it or just eat it. You know what I mean. On top of my cabinets, you will see my MacBook M1. That is what I started with when I was recording videos. It was silent. I do still use now and again when I'm editing or maybe doing something. Behind that, I've got my Remarkable Pro. This is one of my most favorite toys that I got last year because I love to make notes, draw out wireframes, design things, and I can do it now with this digital handwriting paper tablet tool. The quality you get when you're writing, it is as good as pen on paper. And on top of the cabinet, you'll also see my Elgato teleprompter. Again, this is another one of my favorite toys. If I want to do a video where I've scripted out what I want to say, or there's a lot to say and I don't want to forget things, that Elgato teleprompter is amazing. It's the best thing you can get. I can be recording and talking and reading off a script and you wouldn't even know. I also have a tall tube light. I can change the height of it anytime I want and go from small to tall. It sits on the left hand side of me because because it adds a bit of depth by lighting up the back of me and my side and a little bit of the microphone as well. Now, on the table, and everything I'm going to tell you now is connected to the table. And by the way, when it comes to the electrical standing desk, when I hit the button to make it rise or go down, it handles the weight of everything on here with ease. There's no grinding noises of machinery. Everything just works perfectly well. Now, I have two Godox lights, ES45. I got these a couple of years ago. I absolutely love them. Now, this is a flat panel light, and they each come with a controller where you can adjust the lightness or darkness of the panel. So you can go from 0 to 100%, and you can change the temperature as well from super warm to super cold. I normally have it at 5600, which is the perfect daylight setting, and I have two of them. The key light is over here. I had to think about that for a moment. The key light over here is set to be currently 65%, and I have a fill light over here, which is actually only set to 5 or sometimes 10%. So that helps to remove some of the shadow I would get on this side of my face if I only had my key light on. Now, you will notice, though, that these Godox ES45s have a diffusion panel in front of them. That's because without the panel, and you will have noticed this in my normal videos, because I've only had these panels up for about 6 days now, is that I was getting a bit of a bright glare on my head. Even though they are at 45 degrees to me because I wear glasses, if those lights were dead ahead in front of me, as what some people tend to like to do when they're recording, I would get glare and reflection on my glasses. You can't get away from that. By having them at 45 degrees either side of me, and they are also angled down as well. So they're not just 45 like straight up, they're slightly angled down as well. That ensures that I am lit up, but it's not reflecting off my glasses. But the diffusion panels helps to reduce the bang on glare I'm getting on my head. The bigger the panel, the more diffused light you get. Now, you will see videos that recommend diffusion lights, soft boxes. Some of them can be quite big. They can literally be like quite big. Now, these lights over here, including the panel in front, so we got the LED light and the diffusion panel. If you put your hand up against it, it's about that wide. That's how much space it's taking. That's next to nothing. So if you've got a small room and you're trying to accommodate your lights, this could massively help you out. On the table, we've got my Mac Mini M2 Pro. I've had this a couple of years now. Brilliant machine. It handles so much that is put onto it, video editing, running many programs at the same time. I never ever hear the fan on this ever go off. I never get any noise at all. This is a brilliant machine. And for those people that record with other machines and you get a bit of a whirring fan noise, you can use microphones to kind of get rid of that or put it through some editing software. But when you're recording and you can hear the fan, it's annoying. I'm telling you now, while recording this video, with my two lights, with my monitors, with my Mac Mini, with my camera on as well, and the lights behind me, there is no sound at all. So I don't need to get much more for this. Well, I lie. I had to then go and get an SSD as well. This is only 512 gigabytes in space. Now, when you're editing and storing high quality 422 10-bit videos, and I'll talk about that in a moment, you kind of need some extra storage because one 30-minute video could easily hit 120 gigabytes. So I've got a 2 terabyte SanDisk. This is 4 gigs write and read speeds. This is the new USB 4 Thunderbolt, so I can store tons of videos on here. I don't keep them. I export to this, and then I upload to YouTube, and then I normally delete them off. But it's handy to have that so I'm not maxing out what I'm doing on my Mac Mini M2 Pro. Let's talk about the microphone. Okay, this is the Fifine Dynamic microphone. This only picks up the sound coming in from the top over here. If I talk to the side over here, you're going to notice a drop in the quality if I move further away. I'm not sure if you can still hear it properly, but it's what you hear directly on top. Whereas if I used a condenser microphone, it would pick up more around. And that can be a bit of a problem unless you're in a soundproof room. My French doors are open. The curtain is pulled over them, soundproof curtain, but there is still an opening. The door is fully open. The cats are going in and out. The birds are chirping away. I have a door over there. There is a soundproof curtain in front of that as well. But if my son is home, if my wife is home, if they're singing and dancing and cooking, if the TV's on, if there's things going on, a bit of commotion, the condenser microphone will pick it up. Now, you can reduce background noise and do all of that. But you know what? This dynamic microphone means that they can do what they want and you won't hear a thing. I kid you not. There have been times when my son has been playing his piano literally on the other side of this wall. And I'm still in here recording, and you wouldn't know he was even in the house at the time. The other great thing about this microphone is that it connects via USB 2. I don't need to use the XLR, which is there if I want to connect it to an audio interface, but this just connects directly into my Mac Mini M2 Pro via USB 2. And it's brilliant. You know, you can adjust the sound on it, some other settings, you can mute it if you want. It works perfectly fine for me. Now, I sometimes have considered using like a shotgun microphone, so it's out of shot. The trouble I have though is that a lot of them are condenser, and because the door might be open to let my cats in and out and to access the cattery over there, it just does not make sense. And I'm not going to fully soundproof this room. I have got soundproofing on the ceiling and the walls, and those panels behind me, those wood veneer, they are soundproof acoustic panels, wall panels as well. But even then, I just don't want to use a condenser microphone because I did in the past and I picked up quite a bit of noise and it irritated me. On the table itself, I have a pretty fancy free keyboard. It's not a mechanical one because I like the buttons to be silent, and I just have a normal mouse as well. I don't overly feel like spending a lot of money on getting really expensive keyboards and mice because sometimes they can break or stop working. So I just like to keep things easily replaceable if ever there was an issue with them. But to be fair, these have lasted me for the last 3.5 years, so I've not got any problems yet. Let's move on to my favorite monitor, the Asus Pro Art monitor. This is 3840 by 2160. This is brilliant for color grading, color quality. When you're creating your thumbnail arts, when you're doing your video editing, you are seeing things exactly how they need to be. On the other side of the desk, I have my 49-inch ultra-wide, super wide, mega wide multiverse monitor. I talk about this a lot in my videos. I keep mentioning it. It's not the best quality, but it's 49 inches. It's 3840 resolution width by 1080. It does the job. It's great for me if I want to have other things on here when I'm editing or working on multiple things, or I'm watching a YouTube video while I'm working on something on my Asus screen, or when I'm using the electrical standing desk and it's now raised up to 101 centimeters, give or take. When I'm on my stepper and writing, I move my keyboard and my mouse over to there, and I'm now looking at that side of the 49-inch, and I can still be editing, watching videos, working on stuff, doing what I want. So I've got the flexibility to use either or all of the screens at the same time, wherever I'm sitting or standing. Now we move on to my favorite toy, my camera, my DLSR. I was using my iPhone and I had a tripod, but now I've got this really funky arm which allows me to adjust how much it actually invades over my desk. These kind of arms are really cool because if you use a tripod, you're always going to be slightly behind your desk. Even when you put a camera on, there's only so much you can move it over. If you go and use like a tripod on your desk, there's a chance it might pick up some vibration even with stabilizing legs or a gimbal. This one, even though it is attached to my desk, is so robust and brilliant because if I ever wanted to bring it closer to me, I can angle it so it completely goes over the Mac between my monitors to pick me up. But this is brilliant. It is super robust and it holds my camera, the Sony ZV-E10 Mark II. Got this about 10 days ago. The Sigma lens on top of it just helps me to get better aperture on it and focusing, to blur the background a bit. I can adjust it. It's super brilliant. Touch screen, really easy to use, does not take long. And if you ever struggle with the settings, just open up ChatGPT and it will tell you what you need to do. That's how brilliant it is. It's so easy to use. I don't use an SSD card inside of it. It's connected to my Mac Mini via a 4K cam link, Elgato cam link. You got to get some extra wires, so that goes into the cam link, that feeds into my machine. So I'm getting the full 4K, 422 10-bit resolution. Believe me, I think a lot of you can already see the difference in quality this is bringing. And when I live stream on YouTube, it's coming out at 2K, 1440. I mean, before it was 1080, and the 1080 was always a little bit drop. It never felt like full 1080. Now I'm getting really hardcore, brilliant 2K quality, even when I'm live streaming. Who would have known? Well, someone obviously knew. I didn't know. Well, I know now. And the final thing I'm going to mention is my Edifier speakers, connected obviously via the audio cable to the Mac Mini. The speaker, one is standing up, one is lying down, obviously because of the size of this really silly 49-incher that we've got on the desk. That, my friends, was my studio tour layout. I don't know if you were expecting a bit more. If you want a bit more information off me, go and drop it in the comments. There will be links in the video description. Everything just sings and dances, and I love my studio until I change it again. And then I might go and buy some more different equipment, or not. We'll see how I go. I'm Imran from Web Squadron. I hope you like, subscribe, share, and follow. If you want to start a YouTube channel, go and do it. See you soon. Take care. Bye.